Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another iWoman Report. I'm Cathleen Jones. Unfortunately, Women's History Month is over, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop celebrating all the super amazing things that women do every single day to keep this world spinning. We're nearing the end of award season also, and this year, women in the entertainment industry have finally started seeing some recognition behind the lens. Yes. Right, give it up for the girls. And we are well on our way to seeing the very first Black female Supreme Court Justice. Another one, yes. We're going to be joined later by two incredibly talented female filmmakers, Haigh and Hannah Congdon, who are the brilliant creatives behind the documentary Women Behind the Wheel. You've got to check it out. We'll be making a special announcement about them a little later in the show. These two filmmakers went on a drive and talked with women, over 50 women actually, about the state of women's rights in countries where women have very few rights. Of course, you all saw the Oscars, right? And no, we're not going to talk about the Will Smith and Chris Rock showdown. Well, I mean, maybe just a little. But we do have a lot to say about our girl Jada Pinkett and hair loss in women. It's a very sensitive topic, and we're going to be diving really deep into it in another show. So stay tuned for that. But first, let's get started with this week's top stories. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson finally completes her confirmation hearing. Women's sports is still a hot-button topic between March Madness and the recent NCAA swimming championships. And all the biggest moments from the 94th Academy Awards. All of this and more on today's iWoman Report. We are all anxiously waiting to see what will happen with Judge Jackson and her Supreme Court nomination. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson has completed her confirmation hearing, and the Senate is expected to vote on her nomination on April 4th. This would accomplish President Biden's campaign promise to put a Black female on the Supreme Court. And of course, the Democrats have made it their goal to get her confirmed before the Easter holiday. During the hearing, Senator Cory Booker praised her, bringing the judge and her family, and me, to tears.
I'm not letting anybody in the Senate steal my joy. And this woman comes up on me, practically tackles me, an African-American woman. And the look on her eyes, she just wanted to touch me, because I'm sitting so close to you, and tell me what it meant to her to watch you sitting where you're sitting. And you did not get there because of some left-wing agenda. You didn't get here because of some dark money groups. You got here how every Black woman in America who's gotten anywhere has done, by being, like Ginger Rogers said, I did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels.
Women's sports have been a hot-button topic in recent months. It started with the controversial transgender swimmer Leah Thomas, who competed and cleaned up in the women's swim category. Some felt she had an unfair advantage as a former male athlete. Recently, the NCAA women's basketball teams also got a big win for this year's March Madness tournament. After a shocking difference in the treatment of the men's and women's teams in 2021, the women's teams were able to use the official March Madness branding for the first time. The number of teams competing was the highest ever, and there was a record turnout for fans. While these are steps in the right direction, there is still a long way to go in terms of fair treatment in women's sports. The Women's Basketball Coaches Association started the Our Fair Shot campaign to achieve equity in women's sports.
Our
fair
shot.
Admit inequities exist in the way the NCAA funds, staffs, and runs women's and men's college basketball.
Thoroughly investigate these inequities and make public everything you learn.
Finally, take real and meaningful action to end the inequity once and for all.
You can go to their website, ourfairshot.com, to learn more and lend your support. All this buzz around women's sports between March Madness and the controversy in NCAA swimming brings me to my question of the day. Has enough progress been made in women's sports? We know women are just winning in every category, but are we really getting far enough? We're getting there, but it still feels like baby steps to me, considering the enormous contribution that women have made across all sports. You can go to our Instagram at iWomanTV and take the poll in our stories to let us know what you think. Make sure you leave us your comments and suggestions about how to make things a little better for our female athletes. And before we get into our interview, here are some Oscar moments from this past weekend at the 94th Academy Awards ceremony that are truly ones for the history books. Kristen Stewart and Ariana DeBose are the first openly LGBTQ plus female actors nominated at the Oscars. And on Sunday, Ariana DeBose became the first openly queer Afro-Latina to win an acting Oscar for her role in West Side Story. Congratulations, Ariana. It is so well deserved. West Side Story, just a little fact, was one of my absolute favorite plays of all times. I was in it when I was in high school, and I did get a chance also to see the Broadway production right before COVID happened. It was incredible. Now I just have to get back and watch this movie and see how amazing it is. I hear it's incredible. Here's a little piece of Ariana's moving acceptance speech.
You know what, now you see why that Anita says, I want to be in America, because even in this weary world that we live in, dreams do come true. And that's really a heartening thing right now.
Ariana DeBose's nomination was for the same role that Rita Moreno won the Supporting Actress Oscar for in 1961 for the role of Anita in West Side Story. This makes them the first women and actors of color to be nominated and win for the same role, following Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix for The Joker, and Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro for Vito Corleone. Jane Campion takes home the Oscar for Best Director, only the third woman ever to win Best Director, following Catherine Bigelow and Chloe Zhao. Ari Wegner was only the second woman ever nominated for Best Cinematographer, so congratulations to them as well. And Canto was the only Best Animated Feature nominated with a woman director or co-director. Congratulations to everyone who took home Oscars this year. It was definitely the most diverse mix of nominees and winners we've ever seen, right? So thank you, Oscars. Okay, I said we were not going to talk about it, or at least we're not going to harp on it, but how can we talk about the Oscars and not at least mention the most talked about moment of the 2022 Oscar ceremony, dubbed the slap heard around the world? As I know that you all saw, or at least heard by now, Will Smith walked on stage after Chris Rock made an insensitive joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, and he smacked him right in the face in the middle of his presentation of the Best Documentary nominees. Anyone who was watching, especially me, was just so confused. I was on my phone Googling, like, is this real or was this scripted? Is this what's going on? Well, the hashtags have not stopped treading on social media. Everything from what just happened to, damn, Will. Of course, Will went on to later win the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in King Richard, which I understand is now in question by the Academy because of this incident. Will apologized to the Academy, and Jada offered a one-line response, which I thought was classic and appropriate, on social media, saying, "This is a season for healing, and I'm here for it." Well, Jada, I'm here for it too. I mean, many are still scratching their head, confused by what Will blew up over, and why was it such a big blow up to begin with. Well, let me just break it down for you. It's because, as Jada previously opened up about on her show, Red Table Talks, she's not bald as a fashion statement. She's bald due to an autoimmune disorder called alopecia, which many women and men suffer from, and it's no joking matter.
I've been having issues with hair loss. And I'm gonna tell you, it was terrifying when it first started. You know, I was in the shower one day and then just handfuls of hair just in my hands. And I was just like, oh my God, am I going bald? Mm-hmm. It was one of those times in my life where I was literally shaking with fear.
We're going to dive deeper into why the comment was so insensitive and why this whole situation blew up the way that it did in an iWoman special report on Black women and hair. And we'll also break down the importance of the newly passed Crown Act federal bill to end hair discrimination. That's coming up next time on the iWoman Report. But right now, I want to highlight two women who are breaking down barriers halfway around the globe. They are the very first winners of our very first iWoman TV film grant. Haigh and Hannah Congdon are the creators of the documentary film Women Behind the Wheel. In this film, they take a 3,000-kilometer road trip along Central Asia's Pamir highway, speaking with women along the way to hear their testimonies, as well as shed light on a women's movement that is largely ignored by Western media.
If you're a divorced woman with a baby, they always say you're like a car with a carriage.
I hate it every time when I had sex with my husband.
Everyone thinks that I'm a bitch because, like, I say what I want.
I feel myself good whenever.
Really?
Yeah.
My mom would say that to be LGBT, it's kind of to be monsters. And I'm like, no, they're not monsters.
What was he most curious about on your laptop? About my laptop, I got my tampons out. Oh, yes. Ow, and like holding them up to me. And I was like, it's not a like cotton missile.
All right, now I want to introduce Kat and Hannah, Haigh and Hannah Congdon, the creators of this tremendous film, Women Behind the Wheel. Thank you so much for making time for us. I know that you're halfway around the world, so it's a little later there than it is here right now.
No, thank you for having us, Kathleen. And yeah, we're very happy to be here.
So I want to start right there. We just watched the trailer for Women Behind the Wheel. Set this up for us. Give us the inspiration behind this film.
Wow. Okay. So the inspiration goes, I guess, many years back. We had finished studying at university together. And I think initially we were just curious about this region of the world, Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, countries which in the UK, probably in the US, a lot of people haven't really heard of, aren't aware of. So we started to plan a trip and we started to do more and more research. And in that research, we came across stories of women, local women, doing really interesting things to empower themselves and their families. And we started to uncover this kind of women's rights movement that largely hasn't received any media attention. The region itself is very interesting from a kind of women's rights point of view. It used to be part of the Soviet Union. And during that phase, women had pretty good rights versus men. But then with the collapse of the Soviet Union, we've actually seen a bit of a regression as these countries have kind of grappled with their own national identities. So there's a lot of interesting kind of cultural context. So we became fascinated with these stories and we started to plan a trip. And that's when we discovered the Pamir Highway, which courses through this vast region and is the second highest international highway on Earth. And to our knowledge, no other women have driven this road solo. So that kind of became our ambition. And we wanted to marry together the idea of us as two women taking on this journey, getting behind the women, getting behind the wheel and behind the camera, which is still quite a rare thing, but using our trip to explore the stories of local women and really hear their voices. So that was how the initial concept came about.
So what did you actually find?
I think in terms of what we found when we were there, like we covered quite a lot of issues in the film. So we, I mean, one of the most prevalent issues is domestic abuse. And so we had quite a lot of quite difficult conversations around that, but with some incredible women that are trying to make change. And we talked to women in the healthcare system. We talked to women whose husbands have gone to work abroad in Russia. So there was kind of thematically loads of really interesting conversations that we had. But I think we were also kind of ourselves went on a bit of a journey on as we made the film, because I think we both went out there wanting these kind of really gung-ho, loud feminist stories, which I think is a kind of brand of feminism that we have in the West. And actually along the way, some of the women that inspired us most were women that were actually just making a small change, but maybe the only change that they could or felt able to make within their community, but that was having a massive impact for, you know, their daughter or their sister or their friend or their peers. And actually it was sometimes just those small stepping stones that we found really, really inspiring.
Well, as I said, you are the recipients of our very first iWoman Finishing Film Fund grant. Congratulations. And so what do you plan to do with the money?
So the money is solely going to go on getting this film finished, which is 100% our focus. And we are very near the finishing line at this stage. So to give a brief update, we now have a kind of 90-minute rough cut, and we are in the final stages of post-production. So working on the sound mix and then the color grade. So that is predominantly how we're going to use the funding, and we're incredibly grateful for it.
Well, we're really all excited here at iWoman TV. I've watched it in its various stages, and I'm excited to see the finished product. We're going to have you come back because we wanted to do a screening and a discussion with the two of you, and we'll invite everybody to ask questions and all of that, which is really exciting. And you know, if people want to contribute to the project, then I know you're still raising money, and so that will be something that we'll also do. But again, congratulations. I can't wait to see the finished product. You've done an amazing job. You're two powerhouse film directors and producers, and you're best friends, and I love it. You are every woman.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support, Kathleen.
Yeah, we're super excited to be collaborating with iWoman.
You're so welcome. So Kat and Hannah, thank you again for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you again so much, Kat and Hannah, for talking with us about this film, Women Behind the Wheel. While we are on the topic of women kicking ass in their profession, let's revisit our question of the day from last episode and see those results. Last week's question of the day was, are you earning the same as your male counterparts? How many of you want to guess what the results were? Well, it's right there on your screen. 100% of voters said no, they do not earn as much as their male counterparts or coworkers. Any thoughts about that? I mean, are you surprised? I think we're going to get there, right? We're just going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to get there, ladies. We shall overcome. Just got to keep doing it, right? Keep fighting for our right. All right. Now, before we end the show today, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the start of Sexual Assault Awareness Month this April. This year is the 21st anniversary of the first Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The purpose of Sexual Assault Awareness Month is to raise awareness about sexual assault and to educate people on how to prevent it.
Sexual assault is essentially any type of sexual contact or behavior that occurs without the consent of the recipient. And this includes rape and molestation. This includes sexual harassment in any setting, including online, exposing or flashing, groping, or any sort of unwanted sexual touching above or under the clothing, forcing a person to pose for sexual pictures, or also sharing or publicizing intimate pictures without consent.
This year, the campaign aims to take action toward building safe spaces online. The internet is a place where people do experience sexual assault and harassment virtually, as well as have the ability to meet up with strangers more easily.
A recent article published by ProPublica, BuzzFeed and Columbia Journalism Investigations says that several dating apps are not conducting adequate background checks. The report found in incidents of sexual assault involving dating apps, 10% of dating platforms matched their users with someone who had been accused or convicted of sexual assault at least once.
This campaign goal sets out to create communities online that are first and foremost built on respect, inclusion, and safety, where harassment, assault, and abuse are taken seriously. Here are just some of the staggering statistics on sexual assault in the United States. 1 in 5 women in the U.S. experience completed or attempted rape during their lifetime. Nearly a quarter of men in the United States experience some form of contact sexual violence in their lifetime. About half of female victims of rape reported being raped by an intimate partner, and over half of male victims report being raped by an acquaintance. The estimated lifetime cost of rape is $122,461 per victim. Those numbers are really hard to hear and prove that we still need to do a lot to help out sexual assault survivors. Now, these are just a few of the ways that you can show your support during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Wear a teal ribbon in honor of sexual assault survivors. Sign the No More Pledge. Participate in Denim Day on April 27th. Now, this is a campaign that was started after a rape conviction was overturned by the Italian Supreme Court. They said since the victim was wearing tight jeans, she must have helped her attacker remove them. implying that she consented to her rape. The following day, women in the Italian parliament came to work wearing jeans in solidarity. It has since become a day to bring awareness to many misconceptions about sexual violence. Please visit www.nsvrc.org/SAM, S-A-A-M, for more information about Sexual Assault Awareness Month and other ways that you can lend your support. Of course, if you or anyone you know is in a situation involving sexual assault or violence, you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. Again, it's right on your screen, 1-800-656-4673. And now I would like to leave you with my Empower Her Minute. There are a lot of things that women have to celebrate lately. The first black female on the Supreme Court, more diverse representation at award shows, and steps toward gender equity in sports. But these successes also show just how much further we have to go when it comes to women being in leadership roles, being recognized for their work, and being treated equally in all aspects of their lives. Women are fearless, women are beautiful, and women are strong. And it is time for everyone, not just other women, to appreciate that. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for joining us for another iWoman Report. And as always, everyone, please stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe.